And you're not going to be given that period to be comfortable here as we move into the picks and bans for game number 2. You need something that right from minute 1 can battle it out with Armada, can defend the jungle. So high jungle confirm, I think, is strong and something that you're going to want. You're going to need someone who can have those 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 skirmishes in the jungle and do well there too, because Armada are going to rotate a lot and frequently and look for battles. It's tough. It's not easy in these picks and bans. I say that a lot, but that's the kind of thing Sanguine's going to have to be looking for.
Sanguine actually opting to ban away the Bacchus. It seems as though their first pick might be leaning maybe towards the Freya, King Arthur spectrum, but with Armada already stripping away that Arthur, I'd have to imagine that the Freya is going to follow suit because it's exactly what Armada did when they were in the first pick position.
Yeah, and you didn't even have to do it in first pick, and they chose to. So I imagine in second pick that they certainly will. You can't let this Freya through, I think. So hopefully that's something they're not going to do. But Armada, the kind of team I feel like that would be like, you want to just try and beat Freya today? You want to see if we can do it?
Armada seems like a team that would actually be like, yeah, I'm down to try and beat Freya today.
I really think so. I'm not even kidding. Oh, well, there you go. Hades is
he's devastatingly scary.
Yes, Hades must be taken off the table.
Smite's spooky as God.
He is spook, especially if it's like the chibi Hades. I know some people think it's cute. I don't think it is. I think it's scary.
It depends.
Yeah.
Like, if I saw Chibi Hades
What about
late
Chibi
at night,
Arachne? Did you see when it was on the update show recently? That Chibi Arachne is scary.
Pity for you, I am not.
She's like got that weird face. I don't know. I don't like
I'm okay with it. I don't really have a problem. Not with that one, no.
Okay, all right. That's fine. Fenrir comes in for Sanguine. This makes some sense. And as much as we're making fun of this Hades ban, it does mean that a lot of priority picks are open. So yes, the Freya's there, but stuff like the Fenrir, Terra, Ardia, like you see them pick up, that does make it through. So instead of banning that Freya and not leaving anything for you on the counter swing, they take out this Hades, maybe a comfort pick for Sanguine, and now they can go Freya Ardio right out the gate.
I'm kind of surprised, though, that Sanguine would opt to ban the Bacchus first up against Armada. I know that they wanted this like priority pick of the Fenrir, but I feel like that might have been better tailored towards a Freya ban as opposed to the Bacchus ban, because if your intention was to pick the Jingwei Fenrir anyway, I feel like both of those gods have enough self-mobility, Jingwei especially since she can just dash away from the Bacchus flop if Armada had gone for that. So that feels a little bit weird to me, but now, even more so on the flip side, Armada already had the Ardio locked into place. Jingwei, while her escapes won't necessarily be pinpointed to just that cripple field, limiting her dash, she does still have airstrike, but I do feel as though this is a very aggressive three-man comp so far from Armada.
It absolutely is. Somehow we galaxy brained our way into this Arachne by talking about the the scary different skids of the game right now. So we'll
You're just reading off the script. That's what the laptop's for.
Whoa,
He's got the whole script right
calm
there.
down. Hold up. They don't need to know that. Why are you telling them?
My bad. I mean, I think you made it kind of obvious earlier.
That's
so.
right. Blowing me up a little bit here on the desk. But I think this Arachne is a good pick. It's something that can definitely have that, that fight in the jungle that I was just talking about. All the things I listed that Sanguine might want, Arachne provides to Armada. So Sanguine got to make sure they recover. Fenrir certainly is one that can scrap, but I don't know about Jingwei and Fafnir. These are some picks that kind of do wait a little while before they really want to come online.
Almost wondering if Scream's going to give us an Awilish pick here now, because there's three gods with jumps, Cripple Field on the favoring of Armada, and I think Arachne can also, it's a viable strategy. Not many teams tend to implement the pass ban option, but I think when there's a lot of open-ended pieces to finish off a composition, and for Sanguine, I think that it would have to be auto-attack prioritization. If anything, that Arachne response is really smart from Armada, because I think that that's what Panitham was actually looking for.
Oh, maybe an Arachne for his comp. Well, I think it would have made some sense, and now he'll have to settle for the Bakasura instead, so we'll see which one of these in-hand-based assassins can come out on top. But like you were saying, I don't think Armada or an Awilish is out of the question for them still, right? And with the Bakasura coming in, you can certainly punish these leaps.
The only one really that can avoid it is Vulcan, but Armada, I mean, they can go just about anywhere, I think, with what they've drafted so far. Freya and Chernobog fairly interchangeable as well between Meerkat or Snoopy. There's really no telling which is going to go where, but I think I would prefer to see the Freya in mid lane against the Vulcan, because she'll also have the Valkyrie's Discretion. That's great ways to not only avoid the Vulcan Earthshaker, but you also just get to put out excellent damage and get away from the Bakasura Regurgitate.
I think it certainly is a strong option as Armada. Take some time thinking about what they want to do with this last pick. The Awilish an option, but they're going to go with the Amaterasu. Certainly a strong pick in her own right. It's very difficult to get away from that dazzling offensive, so a very good frontliner to go along with this RDO.
And Scream's going to get to play his spider. So
That's right.
This should be a pretty fun one to watch it unravel.
Spooky, scary spiders coming in as we move into our next one. Sanguine up against Armada. They got to win this one, or else the whole set's over. Casters, take it away.
Well, Armada certainly trying to wrap this one up, Toli.
With spider webs?
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Tom and Toli on the cast here. Doug LeBlanc on the ones and twos as we get ready for game number 2 here. Armada bringing out the Arachne. And I love this choice, Toli. We've spoken about Arachne being a sleeper pick. She's strong, but nothing exists in a vacuum. The thing about Arachne is you cannot fight her, specifically one-on-one, specifically at level 1. And so what this Arachne pick does is it dissuades the invade that we saw so much from the other team across the way. Sanguine repeatedly found themselves towards the enemy speed buff, and Arachne choice kind of pushes you out of that mindset.
It also kind of scares enemies, the fact that you could potentially invade if you're going for this blink strategy, where I remember adapting picking Arachne in the week 1, I believe, of the SPL up against Space Station Gaming.
Yu harassed at his own buff, and now going to go down at his own buff. Snoopy gets the first blood. Look at that one. Armada quickly up on top.
They really kind of threw Sanguine for a loop, because all of a sudden they saw Gino harassing the speed buff to start off the game, and then all of a sudden he's defending his own purple buff, and Sanguine took a calculated risk by going up and down with the Unchained, but knowing that you're getting less cooldowns, but at the end of the day, it was just too much damage to handle.
So hardcore on the Fafnir solo. And Fafnir solo sounds like it's got a lot of merit, Toli, but right there, Baskin does exactly what so many Fafnirs that have tried to play solo have experienced. The hammer stops on God hit, so you're going to be leveling that up for the clear, but Baskin can just get hit by it, and it won't be able to clear the wave.
Especially when you're going for Hell Chalice, you have your stance switches Amaterasu to sustain up anyway. The problem with this matchup here is that Yarkor has Guardian's Blessing, so he's just kind of waiting, honestly. He doesn't have to clear the wave anyway. He's wanting the tower to do that dirty job for him anyway. Baskin, however, is going to be looking for the poke and the harass with the Warrior's Blessing. He's a little bit worried about the burst damage from Penitum, so that Warrior's Blessing going a long way mitigating that true damage at least.
Snoopy and not Gino pushing up on the enemy tower nice and easily. Mid lane, Spider will walk back into the jungle as the speed buff respawning one more time, so nothing too exciting going on the left side of the map.
Another interesting thing is with how many ticks Yarkor is going to do when he transforms into the dragon. That basic attack is basically a damage over time, so that little bit goes a long way. Snoopy with that first blood 2 minutes ago or so. So far so good with the level 3 now. I don't think that Rongyu and Netroid can really hold on to their own buffs if they wanted to aggress Armada, that is.
Yeah, you can see Vulcan and Panatom going into the enemy jungle in a nice attempt, or their own jungle rather, and picking up the red buff despite Armada's best attempt at the invade. Armada will return to their side of the map. Panatom picking up the speed, and so we have a game here in game number 2 very different from game number 1. I'm kind of talking matter-of-factly because this is what we're used to seeing, but that's the big polarizing difference between this and the first contest, is that game number 1 didn't really adhere to any sort of quote-unquote rules. It was just invades and harassment and weird people in weird places. This is everybody at their buffs when it spawns, and we're back to old-fashioned Smite game.
I think they were afraid of the Arachne pick is what happened at the end of the day.
I agree.
Picking it up before the second phase dissuaded, I think, the aggressive solo lane start that Yarkor did in that first game with the Bologna. It was a great idea. He actually killed out Scream's Naja at level 1, able to kill him again at level 3, but this time switching hard 180 on the very passive Fafnir, allowing Baskin to transition into this mid game with an Amaterasu in his own right. Both of these gods are going to be bringing good team fight control, but I think Baskin with the mobility modifier of the aura is where it's going to be that one step and nudge ahead of the Fafnir.
Those auras are no joke, and as you said, in the mid game they're really powerful. Although Baskin here in the solo lane, not support role. We see Amaterasu kind of flex between these two roles, more solo than support for sure. But he's leveling that 2 for the clear. So we won't have the auras maxed out until about level 12 or so.
Which is fine because as a soul laner, you're not rotating until level 12 anyway. Once you have that second relic, Snoopy should be fine as he double dashes from the wall. And this Amaterasu, he does utilize the movement speed, but at the same time, Yarkor can utilize attack speed with the coerce that he has inside his kit, specifically onto Panidum and Netroid. But the question remains is, like, who's going to be making those rotations first to make that impact?
I think Baskin is probably more likely on the docket. Yarkor needs his other players to really get going before he can really make a large impact. Cheeto in trouble, but here's help from the support Fenrir. And just easily, Shinto with the shotgun. Still gets traded out thanks to Meerkat's ultimate. Meerkat's going to go down as well. So 1 for 2, Sanguine on the good side, tying the game 2-2.
A little too aggressive was Meerkat, trying to avenge his fallen brethren, but mid for mid, I guess, is not too bad at the end of the day. Still with a 1-level lead for Meerkat that is playing the Freya. We haven't really seen Freya too much as it is consistently banned. Funny little interaction there.
Yeah, which one?
Brutalizing Snoopy as he goes through the wall. Baskin actually a little too aggressive for his own good. Panito shutting him down.
Meanwhile, left side, here comes Scream. Rongyu doesn't have the jump, but has the dash. There's the slam and the last hit, and Scream picks one up. We went in depth about this Arachne selection and why she's popular in the meta, why she's going to be selected here in this choice, why she is going to succeed, why she changed the way this game was played in this very set. But you know what we didn't touch on?
Panidum's Bakasura.
No, Scream's just that damn good at the spider.
Oh.
All of these bare variables have lined up to put Arachne in the you should player column here for Scream, but Scream was playing when all those variables was against him.
Well,
So
when you have game sense to the highest degree, which Scream does have, winning Season 4 Worlds as well with United, he knows when there's weaknesses that he can poke those holes and exploit. And Arachne does it better than most gods. So when you position yourself properly, look for people out of position when you know their ultimates are down, such as Rongyu and Netroids was not available to them, then those plays just open up, become that much easier.
yeah, Rongyu here looking for another easy one himself. Lines up with the Vulcan, and Shinto, just classic, tosses the nade, hits the shotgun, and gets the brutal kill. 4 for Sanguine.
And this is the one funny interaction between a Fenrir and an Artio. Sure, you can cripple out the Unchained and the Brutalized, but you can't stop that Ragnarok, as Artio in the support role gets abused heavily because of not having CC immunity. So that's why normally you stick it in the solo lane, give it some items, and then eventually they could maybe pick up Mad Guy's cloak. But at this point in the game, every time Gino steps up, we're going to get into Rongyu's mouth.
I like that. I like that. Can't stop the Ragnarok. Can't stop the Ragnarok.
I was wondering why you were like kind of tapping your knees. I didn't understand, but I guess like, yeah, you just made up a jingle on the spot. I like it.
I like that. That's all you, baby.
No, that was a team effort.
Team effort. That's what Sanguine are going to need to stretch this to a game 3. Game number 1, pretty dominant here by Armada, although not at this point in time. Did take about 11, 12 minutes to preheat the oven, and then Armada came in and just kind of squashed the opposition.
You know what happened was they thought they turned on the oven, but then they actually turned on the stove, and then they destroyed all their glass.
Oh,
because they had it resting on top.
This is way too deep of a
This is such an inside joke.
Yeah, we don't like that. Recently here, one of our referees.
Nothing bad happened.
One of our referees did exactly what Tolly said. I don't know how it's relevant. There's a nice ultimate and a nice kill. That's certainly relevant. We've seen that time and time again. Every time those diamonds light up, Tolly, you're going to see the mid lane Rongyu combination.
But eventually it's going to catch up with them, because if Armada are there to capitalize from all those ultimates now being down on Sanguine, there could be some cleanup kills, but it's too early into the game to make that kind of an impact. There's not that much burst damage that you can exploit the lack of ultimates by going for an objective such as the Gold Fury.
Well, right now so far, no Gold Fury attempts. And I gotta say, I like this combo. Just every time the dog has the ult, just ult right into Shinto. That's fine with me, man. Sure, you might get punished after the fact, but try to hit multiple players. Look for the backfire, the meatball after the fact. There's a lot of choices here for Armada. And Rongyu doing exactly what he needs to be doing if you pick this Fenrir support.
And honestly, most RDOs will be thinking about, okay, I either need to go beads at level 12 or Mad Guy's Cloak sooner rather than later. And I don't think going beads is the right idea because eventually Rongyu's just going to switch his target. There's no reason for him to go on the RDO any longer. He'll try to use his ultimate to bait out some other cooldowns, like maybe forcing out Baskin's Dazzling Offensive Ultimate, Scream going up, Meerkat going up. So I think it's just important to go for a selfish build now if I'm Gino. After this Oni's Hunter, which is a good item considering that he will be surrounded by at least 3 members, but it's time for the Mad Guy's Cloak.
Is that not already a selfish item?
It is. That's what I'm saying. He needs more selfish items.
What if, well, I guess he's just too far away from level 12 to think about going beads instead?
He is, and on top of that, it's like, if I'm Rongyu and I see beads on RDO, I've done my job already.
Right.
Like, there's not a second team fighting relic. That's important. I can force out other ultimates instead.
Snoopy dashing away, doesn't get hit by the cripple. Now some of the damage on the other end, but Panitom able to snuff out the Snoopy. Nice job there. 6 kills, doubling Armada's 3. Still trailing in gold, though.
Surprised that Snoopy doesn't go for Aegis at level 1 the same way he did in the first game with that much damage from the Bakasura. When you have a CC immune ultimate such as Chernobog that literally displaces you wherever you want to go based on the enemy's positioning, you can even go to the solo lane if you want for safety. So he doesn't use the ultimate there, holds on to the beads, and that's going to allow a little bit more freedom for Netroid to get that level 12.
Hardcore here, sniffing around the enemy blue buff. Rongyu trying to dash away, and Gino looking for a little bit of a route. Snoopy still on the left side, but a scrum about to begin in the middle. As Rongyu chased down to below 25% HP.
Snoopy next brain plays. He wanted to die so he could ulti back to the wave. That's exactly what happened. He's like, I'm either getting away from this gank safely anyway and ulting back to the wave, or I'm just going to die and use my respawn timer and my ulti to keep on farming. And it's been working out for him because he hasn't fallen behind whatsoever.
Not just yet. Still plenty of Smite to be played. We'll see how this all works out. Interesting builds coming out from Scream with the Jotun's Wrath. Arachne largely thought about as a basic attack-oriented character, especially when you look at what's going on with respects to the passive, right? You got Chinsai's passive, but going for the Jotuns.
It's about the ultimate as well, having that available to you because Rongyu can easily bait out some cooldowns, bait out beads or whatever. So if you trade ulti for ulti and Rongyu doesn't have CDR as much as you do, so you're fighting 10% CDR Fenrir with the Blackthorn Hammer versus 20% CDR on the Arachne.
20 CDR?
20 CDR, Tom. This is not Shield of Regrowth of yesteryear. We're not going to go down memory lane. It's okay. I know. I've been there with you at the office where I dropped you off. We talked about it numerous times in the car.
When was the last time you dropped someone off, Toli?
Last night, actually.
12:48 in the clock, on the clock, near 13 minutes. That's where we're at in the game. There's 6 kills on Sanguine's side and 3 kills on Armada's side. About 35,000 gold per team, and nothing of note going on in the commentator booth. Right side, Hardcore versus Baskin. Talk to me about the Amaterasu Fafnir matchup from Hardcore's perspective, Tom.
So he's reached the status that he wanted to reach, which is the level 13.
Wait a second. The diamonds are lined up, and so are the ultimates. Shito puts Gino in the ground, and Meerkat. No chase? They heard Snoopy was coming.
That's right,
And that's why there's no chase.
As well as Scream on the backside is Netroid. Needs to get off the sustain. Scream also stunning out Netroid. Airstrike available. Scream still running away, able to juke out one side, but he also has to run away from the Fafnir.
Yep, Fafnir up north, Netroid down south. Here comes the stun. Dash forward to avoid it. Stun from the backside. Netroid kill.
That was a great just pounce and surround as well. Scream trying to avenge Gino from dying into the mid tower yet again, as Meerkat was also trying to disengage for as long as possible, but couldn't get out of there. He uses Blink to engage as he was rotating in from the left-hand side.
So that was a very interesting team fight. I honestly think it goes no one's direction. Shinto and Rongyu combined to take care of, one player and gets answered back, but just about even, huh?
Pretty much, I would say. The biggest difference is the fact that I think Netroid getting a little bit more farm as he rotated later on in the engagement. Snoopy ultied very early, trying to tip the tides of that fight. And honestly, this is where Armada needs to start warding to spot out where Rongyu is going, because every time he's going on to Gino, but it's not been the end of the world for this RDO player, considering that she's still the same exact level as the Fenrir, and item-wise looking to be on the same pace as well.
What I'm concerned about, well, actually, I don't know. That's the actual question. At what point do you start to get concerned as Armada? You have a 1,000 gold lead, and really nothing's going wrong in Mudtown, but this happens every single time. Everybody's just lined up for the mid lane ultimate. This time it actually misses, but Netroid able there to just cover things up. Armada, though, in a good spot to win this team fight. Meerkat and Basketballs take one. Hardcore from the back, hits him with the hammer. And it's 10-6.
2 for 2, still very low is Sanguine. This is where their overcommitment onto Gino is starting to show, because Shinto, yes, he did miss the ultimate, but they still kill out Gino, and that AoE damage, if it's only onto an RDO, is not really justifying the value of a Vulcan.
Scream looking for the 1v2 here, and certainly can take it thanks to the character selection. Armada get the gold. Scream in trouble. Not able to get either kill. He doesn't like that.
No, definitely not. Missing out the meatball, but the backfire was good to separate the distance. And every time as a Vulcan player, you're hitting an enemy god, getting extra movement speed goes a long way against a speedy little bug.
Spiders are actually arachnids, not insects, Anatoly.
Well, they get squished like bugs, so I'm going to call it a bug.
Sure.
If I see one, it's getting squished.
But it's an arachnid. You can tell because they have 8 legs and a separated abdomen. Insects have...
Its abdomen is definitely getting separated after I squish it.
Now it's Netroid 1 versus 2. Scream looking to make a name for himself since he lost it in that mid lane. Can't find it. Oh, Snoopy following it up. Snoopy following it up. Is he going to die for this?
No, he's not. But actually, Panito's here to clean up.
But stepping in front of the Butcher Blades, Scream with the body blocks, the basic attacks, and the boisterous laughter. Love to see that one. Rongyu will get in and out of the ultimate very quickly. Meerkat won't be knocked away. And Rongyu, body block to all hell. Number 9 for Armada. And they are sitting up for 5,000 gold, 5,500. A little more specifically, thanks, Doug. And looking at this one, Toli, this is where Armada are inching away.
This is where Fenrir really starts falling off. That Ragnarok did not prove to be fruitful whatsoever. Meerkat went to the sky, dealing so much damage, and once he stops the Ragnarok, the cripple locking him down.
So, you say falling off, is that because at this point in the game, Fire Giant going to Armada, the enemy just has more answers a la Magics and Beads, or is it something else?
It's a little bit of both, where
Okay.
like the Fenrir needs to take advantage of that early game because you don't have access to that many relics, that many items such as Mad Guy's Cloak. You want to be building more damage oriented, and also because as a support Fenrir, you're not utilizing the scaling on his Unchained, his Brutalized, which scales very well. It's up there. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's probably like in the top 10 of the assassin
Yeah,
category.
it's definitely pretty strong. You can see Fenrir utilizing the
80% on the Unchained. Seething Hell not receiving any scaling, but considering that Brutalized hits
200.
4 times, that
200.
50% is also misleading when you just take a glance at it.
Ragnarok also going to do a ton of damage should you build this character in the jungle, which recently the change to Brutalize being pure AoE certainly is a nice nod towards that, but early game, character still can stun multiple players. Mid game, character can still do that. Shinto gets the kill, but immediately traded out on Rongyu. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Gino in trouble underneath the tower. The breath coming through. Again, another trade out. Hardcore for Gino, but Panitom falls down as well. Snoopy, 3 kills without a death.
Oh, Snoopy, he's not done yet. He wants a little bit more. He
4!
finds it under the Titan room. Snoopy without a care in the world, just running away from Shinto. How does he get out of this one, though?
Oh, this is not where Snoopy should be at the moment. Diving the fountain and coming up golden. 19 minutes in, Armada leading by 1 kill and 11,000 gold.
Scream saving Private Snoopy as he tower dives and Titan dives rather for the kill onto Netroid.
So looking,
That fight started off well for Sanguine, I would say, considering Wrong Hue unchained stuns Meerkat, doesn't have beats available, coming off of cooldown in 5 seconds, leading to the Ragnarok. Great ultimate out of Shinto, but honestly, the return fire from Armada was also a little bit too much there. As the backline gets penetrated from Baskin, the Fire Giant squad getting even extra damage. There was just not much Sanguine can do fighting outside of their tier 2 tower once it ultimately did crumble.
yeah, it's a little bit rough there for the enemy team to try and respond. So down 10,000 plus. Sanguine are in a defensive situation. No longer can they really look for these Rongyu Shinto plays over and over again. I think they need to save both of those ultimates for defensive scenarios on their towers, or rather tower singular. All towers in the mid and the right side lane have been taken care of by Armada. Shinto forced to ult himself as he's being chased down by the Arachnid. And Scream puts Shinto down.
Yardcore actually jumping in, goes in the Draconic form. Snoopy boxing out Netroid in the backside, gonna get stunned out by Rongi, but here comes Meerkat.
Jump over the wall from the dragon, lifted and sifted into the ground. Scream one more time. Meerkat on the good side of that one. Slowed down his Netroid. The ultimate will take the carry away. Can't say the same about Panitam. Gino dodges the jump.
Oh, he slowed. He slowed. The horrific emblem out of Gino is going to punish this Bakasura. Meerkat in a boxing match against Netroid, forcing out the agility, dash away. Mid-side Phoenix falls, and Armada looking for the victory with the Frenzy.
There's the Frenzy, and wow, it's the end. 17 to 12, 21, almost exactly on the clock. And Armada take this one in 2 games.
That was really quick, honestly. That caught me a little bit off guard, the way they were able to end there. But when you're that aggressive with that kind of a lead, it doesn't surprise me that a team with such caliber players like Armada were able to just hit the last nail in the coffin.
Exactly, just strong play coming out from Armada in the mid and the late game. Watching the other team, Sanguine across the way, early starts, nice beginning to the game. But once things start to get underway, it's hard for them to keep control.
That's right, Scream was just all over the place on this Arachne. That fight at the purple buff early on in the game, it's only a player like Scream that's going to identify when that's a good fight or when that's a bad fight. Because game number 1, remember how Panitam tried to tower dive at the tier 2 tower? Didn't respect the Aegis from Snoopy, didn't respect the blink coming out of Scream. In that second game, Scream makes that same play, but he doesn't commit to the tier 2 tower. He jumps in, only eating 1 tower shot, and he instantly gets out.
Another clean win for Armada. For a closer look, let's go to the desk.
Let's go ahead and take a closer look at what we just saw. I'd be happy to. Finch and Taco here to break down another set victory for Armada. They end up taking it 2-0, and they do it in pretty convincing fashion. 22 and 21 minutes in both games. Those Sanguines kind of in them for a little while at the beginning, but they just couldn't hang.
I think they were there for the first 7 to 8 minutes or so, and then after that, I think the separation really started to take off for Armada here, and Sanguine just constantly seemed like they were 2 steps behind, or even when they seemed like they finally had a foot forward, suddenly there was Armada just coming in with some kind of plot twist that would make all the team fights just crumble back into their favor.
Yeah, it's Scream getting the Arachne is a scary one for me. Freya being let through too. Meerkat, I don't know if he lit up exactly on the KDA part, but there was still plenty of damage coming through. The Banish is always strong as well, so no surprise that Armada are able to grab this one. But yeah, I think Scream's Arachne is kind of the start and the end of it for me. He's so comfortable in this pick.
I think this was just a rough one for Panitam, and this is probably the most inconsistent that we've seen Panitam look, but it's also a kind of a positive from the eyes of Sanguine, I think, because this is a great learning set for a jungler like Panitam to try and build a little bit more of that consistency for future moments, and I think also it's always going to be beneficial. Even in games where you get absolutely smacked, there's even more that you can learn after the fact, and so this is going to be some great VOD review, I think, for the whole of Sanguine, and something that they can look to hopefully build with and see if maybe they can revisit this Armada team sometime in the future.
I think so too. They're going to need to clean some stuff up. There are a couple pieces that that weren't off the mark. Shinto had a few ultimates that I didn't love. Wrong You couldn't quite get the Fender to work either. So I think that as good as Armada are, there definitely was some of it that's on Sanguine, and they could clean up and keep these games more competitive.
It also felt a lot like Sanguine was putting a little bit too much emphasis onto killing Geno, because it works at first when you're killing an RDO, but after a certain period of time, you know, right around that 11, 12 minute mark, it doesn't really feel that good to use 3 to 4 ultimates just to bring down Geno on this RDO pick, because then you have nothing left after for the likes of Snoopy, for Meerkat or Scream and Baskin, and I think that's what also made the clean sweep of every single one of those engagements even more difficult for Sanguine to try and recover off of.
And you can see Snoopy was up at the top of those player damage charts, so he certainly had a good game on the Chernobog as well. That pick getting a little bit more love, at least down here in the minor league. Wouldn't mind seeing more of a guy who can just go just about anywhere on the map at any time. Turns out that's pretty good, and Snoopy got good value out of it.
Got to value it, and Snoopy, he's been a hunter forever, so you got to picture that Snoopy's going to know the best place to try and take that Chernobog off of that ultimate.
I think so too. Let's go ahead and take a look at those standings. No one will be surprised, I think, to find out that Armada are still up at the top of the North American Minor League. Again, Space Station Gold, unfortunately, couldn't finish out their set, so they're 0-5 down at the bottom after their loss. Cryptic and Sanguine keeping things clumped up there in the middle. But remember, Cryptic are the team that I think has shown us the most with being able to take Armada all the way through 2 to 3 games. So hopefully we can see a little bit more from them. They can rise up to that level and challenge Armada.
We'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell, I think, when it comes to these teams. But one thing is for sure, Armada have definitely distinguished themselves as the kings of North America Minor League for now.
I think so, too. And remember, these teams are, and we'll talk more about this the closer we get there, all trying to make it towards that LAN again. And right now, Armada looking like the front runners to do that. And they'll be a scary team for anyone to face once that comes along. But that's it for the Minor League, at least for today. We're going to have the Esports Weekly, of course, on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Those will be the SPL, so you're absolutely not going to want to miss a moment of that. Make sure you keep coming back here every day. We've always got something for you. So for me, Taco, everybody in the back, and the other casters as well, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.